Hello again, everybody. It's Laurie White from the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. How are you doing today? Welcome to episode number 126 of Chamber TV. We are live on Facebook, we are live on Twitter, and we are live on YouTube. And today we have a very special guest coming to us from Portland, Oregon. And she is the founder of an organization called SheWorks, and we'll be talking with Natalya Spicker all about a new program that is alive and well, not just here in Rhode Island, but all across the country and in fact internationally. And it's aimed at empowering women, retraining them, getting them into new careers, and all of it happening remotely. So we will chat with Natalya in just a moment, but I want to emphasize that we are here for you. Again, episode number 126 of Chamber TV, and we welcome your comments, your questions. We'd love to get feedback as Natalya goes along and talks to us about this really interesting program, which in fact has a lot of partners right here in Rhode Island, whether it's the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training, Polaris, the Chamber, and other organizations. So with that, I would like to officially welcome the president of SheWorks, Natalya Spicker. Good morning, Natalya. How are you today?
Natalya, you're muted. If you could unmute your screen.
I apologize for that. Can you all hear me okay? And is my communication coming in through clearly? I think that's a yes.
Yep, you're good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laurie, for welcoming me to this incredible event. Thank you all for your patience this morning as we tried to resolve some technical issues. But the lesson here is, hey, when uncertainty finds us, we pivot and we make the best of it. So I am extremely proud to present to you our program in partnership with the Department of Labor and Training and Polaris MEP, as we've named it, Rhode Island Talent Exchange. And as Laurie mentioned, we are in the business of securing an avenue and a community for women to feel empowered, to feel like they can come back into the workforce full force and with a new set of skills. And through SheWorks, we are doing just that with the state of Rhode Island. Just a few stats and numbers I wanted to share with you all to just bring light to what we've seen in the last year since the pandemic hit from a workforce perspective. We've observed that the job market is in fact broken. And what I mean by that is that a lot of companies around the world, in fact, 54% of companies around the world are saying they cannot find the talent they need. While we're seeing that, there's so many people coming into the workforce and out of the workforce due to things like the pandemic. And in fact, a lot of them were women in the last year that felt that impact. One of the things that we also observed is that the state of Rhode Island, despite its efforts to bring people back to work through digital initiatives, which is one of the reasons we identified the state to be a fantastic partner for SheWorks, was still seeing an incredible gap between female and male employment. By April of last year, employment plummeted 25% for Rhode Island women, while only declining by 8% for men. And in fact, female employment is still at 11% below pre-pandemic levels. So we were brought in as a partner to the state of Rhode Island, to the state of Rhode Island to be able to identify how we could bridge this gap. So we brought our several decades worth of expertise in staffing and innovation and technology. And along with our founder, Silvina Moschini, we offered an ecosystem solution that we like to call the employment opportunities created by education and training. So our education to employment ecosystem. And one of the things that really led this initiative and is still leading it because it's still active as we speak is the fact that we see opportunity lying in the future of work. What does that mean? We see that people are going to be remote in the future. And in fact, almost 75% of the workforce will be millennials in the next 5 years. So just looking at these numbers, you can see that people are really identifying with this trend of working from home, working remotely. And in fact, a lot of companies and leaders are realizing that their employees are actually way more productive working from home. So what this means is that there's a fantastic opportunity here for the state of Rhode Island to reskill its women with digital skills as well as in-demand skills within the market. So we were hired to propose a solution which we call the Rhode Island Talent Exchange. And I love this solution because it really brings to light all of the incredible opportunities that we can solve and the problems that we can solve as a company here at SheWorks. And I'll tell you a little bit about our ecosystem of solutions in a second. But one of the things that we were brought in to fix was essentially, how do we get these women back to work and how do we do it quickly? So we leveraged our expertise in education, job intermediation, and technology to create employment opportunities and rolled it all into one packaged app called the Talent Exchange. The pilot, as we see it, is calling for us to train and educate 500 unemployed Rhode Island women during 5 weeks and have 2 different tracks so that it was relevant to these particular groups. A quick note about our ecosystem. As you see, a lot of this looks like technology, platform, online, and yes, indeed, we are a 360 platform solution focused on the empowerment of women by creating communities through technology, training, and employment around the world. So it's not just in the States, it's around the world. So we really want to be able to bring these women back into the workforce in Rhode Island, but also help showcase them around the world through our networks as well. A quick overview of how this all works internally. Transparent Business is the name of our parent company, and that is our software as a service. It is a transparency and verification software that allows employers around the world to manage their teams remotely and in a way where they have peace of mind that things are getting done the right way. It's a tool that's been proven to increase productivity up to 40%, and it was deemed a top people management solution by Citigroup, which was one of our clients. On the talent as a service side, we have the 2 talent platforms that will house these incredible women that we're educating and eventually connect them with the world as well as local employment opportunities in Rhode Island. And then lastly, we have 2 other different solutions that are aiding in this program, starting with our Academy program, which is the one offering the trainings and education to these women. And lastly, we also offer digital studio services that help position women thought leaders around the world, as well as offer managed services. So now that I explained that a little bit, I'm going to showcase how we position this program and what this means for the state of Rhode Island. So as I mentioned, we partnered with the Department of Labor and Training to identify the group of women that we were to employ and educate. And along with Polaris, we were able to really have a local, on the ground, insightful partner that was able to guide us within an industry that's really dedicated in bringing women back into the workforce and creating flexible opportunities, which is the manufacturing industry. So they've been an incredible leader as well as partner throughout all of this. So the 3 of us created this ecosystem to, again, connect all the dots. And I wanted to help you visualize how we're doing this. So through our Academy program, we're offering new digital skills that help unemployed women become more employable and access the market a lot faster. Through our talent platforms, as I mentioned, it's a platform where people sign up and then they're showcased to the world. This helps people, and women specifically in this case, centralize and be showcased to not just local opportunities, but opportunities worldwide. So this is the magic maker here, because it's where the connection happens. Clients can hire, manage, collaborate, and communicate with anyone on our marketplace through this platform. So imagine if I told you right now you can access the best talent in the world, or even the best talent in specifically an area like Rhode Island. Clients now have that ability, specifically with women, which is a big deal for a lot of diversity and inclusion programs that we're seeing right now. And lastly, we use technology and our platforms to connect and offer these jobs to any group that's within our platform, and specifically to the group of Rhode Island women. So we're creating an ecosystem that essentially closes not just the gender gap, the unemployment gap, but also the skills gap. Just a quick overview of what our program journey looks like. Again, as Laurie mentioned, we've done this worldwide with the governments of Colombia, Guatemala. We're actually in works with the governments of Spain, Canada, Egypt, and Morocco to help them bring this idea and program to their women and to their people who are in dire need of some digital skills, so they can become more employable and access an international job market without having to leave the country. So that's the beautiful part of this. But just a quick overview, we have selected the trainees among 1,000 candidates that applied for the program. So we had a screening process already in place. We wanted to make sure that our courses were relevant to these women, not just people that wanted, a new set of skills, but we really want to make sure that once they graduate the program, that they're eligible for the jobs that we have in mind. Then the training takes place. It's 5 weeks of training, 2 tracks, which I'll explain in a couple of slides. But these tracks are focused on remote readiness, making sure that women are comfortable working remotely, that they're aware that remote is here to stay, and it's the new avenue into what we call the 4th industrial revolution, which is all digital. And that a lot of clients are actually open to hiring people remotely, which is wonderful because it allows flexibility for stay-at-home moms to showcase their skills and not have to leave the workforce. Then the middle part of it is really where the nucleus of the program is where the talent centralization happens. So now we have allowed women to come onto our platform. They've finished this course. They're super excited to come back to the workforce. They can create a profile that's very similar to LinkedIn with the power of getting hired on the spot. And more importantly, we're giving the Department of Labor and Training an extra step of analytics and connectivity and traceability of these women, of where they go after they're trained, so that we can report back on the results and analysis of the program. The really interesting part here, and what sets us aside as SheWorks, is that we can facilitate job intermediation, not only locally in Rhode Island, but across the world. So the cool thing about this is that we can help Rhode Island showcase its talent by giving you analytics, easy to understand profiles online, and more importantly, we can take that talent and scale it to the world, making Rhode Island a pioneer in one of these programs, because a lot of countries and states are open to it, but sometimes they don't know how to start it. So Rhode Island is a very, very exciting case because it is really engaged with this whole wave of the future. And this program really helps symbolize that to the world. And then lastly, we work with these women, not just to train them and make sure that we give them a new set of skills, but we also focus on the exploration side. So we guide them on how to position themselves in this new market, how to revamp their resume, how to create an engaging and lasting and memorable profile so that clients feel extremely comfortable with hiring them remotely. We also give access to client and employer partners to get access to digital tools to help them transfer that traditional model into a digital model. And what I mean by that is we give them access to our software, which I mentioned earlier, Transparent Business, as a way to feel comfortable with hiring these women. We're giving 25 free licenses until the end of the year to any employment partner who signs up to access this pool of women. So if you see here, we take them from a point where they have no idea what to do next, all the way to hopeful employment guidance, which could result in employment opportunities. But we want to empower them as well. Laurie mentioned an interesting word when we first connected, reinvent themselves. And this is the exact way to do that through an ecosystem of solutions. So just a quick overview of how this takes place and how it has taken place with the Department of Labor, the State of Rhode Island, and Polaris. We offer the ability for people to sign up at their own will. They have access to information about the program. They can see what it entails. And more importantly, because it's backed by the Governor's Workforce Board and the DLT, they feel extra safe when exchanging that kind of information to us. And as I mentioned initially, we looked at a team or a group of 500 women, and these were all screened and hand selected for this program to ensure that the journey made sense, so that when they finally reached the end step, that they were highly relevant to the jobs that we have in mind, as well as to any interested employment partners. And just a few words about our program tracks. As I mentioned, we have 2 tracks. Cloud Working Academy, as I mentioned, is the academy that we have created to bring digital readiness and remote readiness training to leaders as well as professionals. In this case, we train all of the professionals that are in the program and train them to gain soft skills within remote readiness, technical skills, ideas and methodologies that work to really position themselves as an effective, responsive professional online, and hopefully not with an issue like I had this morning with technical difficulties, so that they know how to set themselves up properly and be ready to pivot whenever they encounter a technical difficulty or some type of involvement that is not typical to a traditional work setting. More importantly, we train them in entering the workforce, gaining new branding and a new professional identity, because this is a very important part of women feeling comfortable coming back into the workforce. We want to give them not just hope, but also the confidence and empowerment to feel comfortable to apply to some of the jobs that you see below here that this ecosystem creates wonderful profiles for. Then second to this, we also have a second track called the Facebook Blueprint track. In this case, it's highly focused on the Digital Marketing Associate certification for Facebook. We chose this because we felt that a lot of women may have some marketing skills that really needed some refreshing. And we chose the most popular and in-demand skill set that has been confirmed by Facebook to be one of the most employable as well as highly demanded skills in the market. What this certification would allow is for people to join any company or even start promoting their own business or even jumpstart their own company to help others set themselves up for success as a seller or a digital proponent of a product or a service using Facebook as a platform. So Facebook, as you know, is really immersed in so many ways of social selling. So we wanted to use this track to get people really excited about what the future is doing, but explain to them the ins and outs of this. And as you can see, we listed a few of these jobs, as I mentioned, that this group would be a fantastic fit for. And all of these are aligned on a digital side with the jobs of the future, as well as immediate opportunities that we can connect them with. The talent centralization process was very simple. Our platform houses everything. And by everything, I mean everything from profiles to the ability to connect to also the ability to manage and pay these individuals so that companies feel connected, but they don't feel like they're impacting their headcount, but they can still meet their project deadlines, augment their staff, and have access to full-time professionals that feel like they're part of the family, but more importantly, have the flexibility to navigate without the extra costs of employment. So the process here is very simple. As I mentioned, we basically create a funnel by inviting a specific group. In this case, it was 500 women, almost 1,000 women signed up. So we had a field day doing the onboarding process, but it was very exciting because we were able to steer them in the right direction. Then our platform is chock full of technology that helps assess and then reposition women if they're not in the right space. It allows them to really identify if they're going in the right direction. And more importantly, through analytics and through assessments, we're able to deem if they're a right fit for that specific opportunity and guide them based on that. And then lastly, it also allows for feedback from previous clients. So if a client has worked with a specific professional, they can come on our platform and give some feedback on them. The job intermediation side of it, as I mentioned, benefits from our 360 solution. I keep mentioning they can, be hired on our platform. Our platform allows people to connect with these talents all around the world, not just locally. It provides data transparency through our tools with transparent business. And more importantly, it allows the ability to access pre-screened professionals, which nowadays with the talent market completely, at a war for talent, because again, unemployment is dropping and there are jobs being added left and right. And now more than ever, people need fast and effective solutions to address and access talent. This is it right here. So the job intermediation brings these Rhode Island women into this platform and then calls all of our network as well as interested employment partners to then connect all in one through our platform. And more importantly, beyond that, we help them as mentors. We provide them with weekly videos and trainings on how to position themselves, and also how to make the best of once they achieve an interview and once they achieve a first job or a re-entry into the workforce. Our videos and trainings allow them to make the most out of these opportunities. So we don't like to just call it quits after the training. We really want to see this through and make sure that these women get employed. The biggest thing here is that everybody wins. The result is that this impacts not just the state and not just hiring managers, but it impacts the women of Rhode Island in this case. And in other countries, it can impact youth, it can impact all genders, and more importantly, it can impact a group of people that really need to either reskill, upskill, or find ways to get back into the workforce. In this case, for Rhode Island women, I'm super excited to be a woman that has found flexibility and balance within her professional life to be able to bring this and give these opportunities to the women of Rhode Island. More importantly, not just locally, but also helping Rhode Island showcase its talent to the world. There could be a client of ours in Japan needing a specific local team of women in Rhode Island to do a data project. We've been asked for this type of support in the past, so I don't see it as an impossibility, being that Rhode Island has some incredible talent that we've already had the luxury of engaging with that we can showcase. And also this helps women pivot. Pivot is a word you guys have probably heard left and right after the pandemic, and so have we. We are the masters of pivoting, and as you saw today, we made it happen and we got back on. And that is what we want to instill in women. Hey, you got knocked down, but you know what? You get knocked down 7 times, you get up 8. And more importantly, you stay up, because you got to realize that there's opportunities around the world. Just a quick overview of our platform and tools so you can have a glimpse. And again, if any of you have any interest in a demo or accessing this information through a guided tour, please don't hesitate to contact me. But I wanted to use this opportunity to highlight what our platform looks like. We can centralize talent through profiles that look like LinkedIn. We can access rating and feedback from previous employment to give peace of mind and transparency that these folks actually do the work that they set out to do. We have expert data analysis that allow the state to really understand what's happening with its talent, and more importantly, for an employer or a client to see what's going on behind the scenes and ensure that productivity. And with our remote workforce tools powered by Transparent Business, we deep dive even further. We have a proprietary real-time Gantt chart that allows clients to see what's happening. Am I going to meet my project? Is this professional that I hired from SheWorks in Rhode Island going to give me the results I need? And more importantly, there's a monitoring and engagement system where the client can easily collaborate with the professionals on the platform. So it is a pleasure and honor to say that after this program, reskilled Rhode Island women can now work from home and in a hybrid remote or on-site opportunity and connect with jobs in the state and beyond. This is something that we feel is really going to jumpstart unemployed Rhode Islanders, as we see here, but also job seekers, eventually union members, people that are working from home that feel like there's no hope in getting back into their workforce, and also employees that have been trained by other partners, which is a solution that we offer as well in terms of our platforms and how they can centralize and what this represents for prospect clients. This in turn impacts the ability for Rhode Island government to really have a sense of what its talent is built up of. What is the DNA of the Rhode Island women, and how can they be moved and transitioned back into the workforce through a scalable program like ours. Rhode Island companies like yourself now have access to a very screened, highly vetted, highly trained, and very, very much certified group of women that will potentially be the next employer of your company. And if you're on this call and seeking talent, I do invite you to seek us out. We will be giving you access through links to inquire about the talent that we are training, and they are hireable immediately, but also as a program finalizes in the next 3 weeks, we will be able to then promote the jobs that the candidates that are within our program for the jobs that they are most applicable for. But if you are seeking talent, we are not charging a fee for this talent. We have pretty much said, hey, we're going to help you find work, and we're going to use every method possible and every connection possible, hence why we're here today. But lastly, this also is going to be shared with our international network of clients and an international network of clients as we speak. So we want to make sure that you know that the local Rhode Island talent is being showcased to the world. And I mentioned there's a possibility for you all to become an employment partner through our website, SheWorks.com, but also there is a form that we have. If you have any openings right now that could benefit from women that are tech savvy, connected with computers, and being able to connect with jobs and engage with a client or a customer online, we have that type of talent, from data entry to marketing to digital marketing and beyond. Those are the three main categories that we see, as well as customer service. But we have the ability to connect these women with you digitally through our platform, and more importantly, with the intent of getting them back to the workforce. So I definitely wanted to highlight this because we do have quite a few employment partners solidified already, but we are still open to seeing more. And obviously we want to make sure that everyone has a glimpse of this. And a few insights about us before I turn this over back to the team. I know we're at the hour, but the SheWorks team is a highly robust, acclaimed, and scalable team. As I mentioned, we're fully remote. We're extremely nimble. We've partnered with the government around the world before, and we're still doing it now to bring this specific program not just to the United States, but to the world. We've partnered with Google, Microsoft, SAP. We've won multiple awards for our platforms and what we're doing. And more importantly, we are built on an Amazon Web Service platform. So privacy is a very, very big thing for us. And we really understand what it's like to leverage technology in making sure that we get people back to work. Some of our feedback from our specific students, as I mentioned, this program is very widely accepted. Our NPS, Net Promoter Score, average is 85%, which is very high for our industry. But a few quotes from our current Facebook group of the students that are taking this course so far, I wanted to share that with you. And as you can see, they're already creating a buzz around that around the world. Some of our clients here for you to see. We're extremely connected worldwide. The credibility is there. The passion is there, and it is such an honor to really represent a company that feels extremely excited about bringing the talented women of Rhode Island back to work. I want to thank you all for your attention. Thank you for your patience this morning. And as I mentioned, I am available for any questions. And if we have a few minutes, I am also available for Q&A today. Laurie, I apologize. I went over a few minutes, but I want to turn it over to you.
Wow, that was amazing. A lot of information to digest and to process. So thank you for taking us through that slide deck. So I'm wondering if you'd be open to me breaking it down a little bit more and trying to isolate the messages that we're trying to get out. So I think our first audience, first and foremost, is business owners. So if you could just, or business professionals or people in business that are on the hiring side, could you articulate, and you might want to check your microphone, it might be off, yeah. Could you just very briefly go over again, if somebody is watching this and they are an employer, how this program is relevant to them?
Absolutely. So, and can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So if you're an employer, this is highly relevant for you. Why? Because we are training and skilling a group, hundreds of women that are not just focused on one skill set, hundreds of women that can come in and help you and connect with you remotely, on site. If you have openings on site, ideally it's remote because that's what we're training them on. But women that can come back into the workforce within these roles, they're extremely ready. Now, more importantly, they're also going to be highly trained on digital skills that pertain to specific, more complex projects that your company could be facing. A lot of people had to pivot to social selling, to an online presence. We're focusing on skilling a percentage of this group in these exact skills and digital marketing skills. Now, what this means for a business is if you've seen that from one day to the next, because of the pandemic, your business plummeted because you had a brick and mortar store that had to shut down and you had to shift all of your operations online, but you still haven't set that up properly. You're seeing some glitches. Let's say you're using Facebook or specific Google technologies. We can actually connect you with women, or if it goes beyond that, we can connect you with professionals. But ideally, it's these women that have these skills that can come in and help you revamp your strategy, help you make sure that you're on the right track, and more importantly, help you add extra support to your team. A lot of companies had to lay off their full-time staff and could only bring back people on a contingent basis. So these women are the ideal solution to make sure that your projects don't get stalled, that your deadlines are met, and that you're not leaving money on the table by not considering a digital transformation. So I'm highlighting this slide once again, so companies that have these openings or needs are aware that we have these women. And as I mentioned earlier, the job market is broken. A lot of companies are saying, I can't find my talent and I need talent. So through our platform, as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability to onboard, centralize, and connect these women to local businesses in Rhode Island. So I think the biggest takeaway for a business owner, or someone that's in charge of talent acquisition or workforce integration, or bringing women back, or any gender back to your workforce specifically, is that we have the talent. We have the talent that is screened, that is trustworthy, and we have the technology to connect you with that talent in a way that gives you peace of mind. And lastly, we have tools that we can give to you if you are open to and exploring digital remote workforce management tools. We would give you 25 free licenses until the end of the year to enhance your ability to connect with these professionals, or any professionals on your team for that matter, with the transparency, efficiency, and collaboration that everyone is looking for right now. So those are just some highlights, Laurie. I can keep going, but I think the biggest thing is understanding we can connect them to talent and to tools to manage that talent.
Okay, so let me just ask a couple of follow-up questions.
Sure.
Are employers then hiring these people for the long term, or is it on a part-time basis, a project basis, a per diem basis, and how are the wages and the salaries configured?
So all of the above. We like to promote our professionals as full-time professionals, meaning they're open to long-term contracts. That would be the ideal scenario, because it provides the majority of women, in this case, the flexibility to, if for some reason they need to switch to another job or can only have a certain amount of hours available for them to work, those long-term contracts typically give a little bit of flexibility, more so than a full-time job. Now, we can position these professionals for short-term projects, for midterm projects, and long-term projects as well. Now, if there is a company that has 12 full-time positions that can benefit from the talent that we have, we can also set up a way to connect them and basically hand them over as a full-time employee. So we address all of the specific placements, but our sweet spot is really on the remote long-term contract side, because that's where the majority of the flexibility is. And that's really what we've seen closes that unemployment, the gender unemployment gap, because it allows a flexible solution. But in terms of how the wages and salaries are defined, we typically pay and bill our clients by the hour, because it's typically pay as you go, which is a fantastic way to free up cash flow if you're a smaller business and you need that to be placed somewhere else, so you're not having to pay, either an upfront fee or a large investment in the employer and the employee as a head count. In terms of the salary, it really is market based. So what we like to do with our platform is really create profiles that reflect true market rates. We have a talent operations team that makes sure that salaries are reflective of the proper skills. Now, in our platform, just as a heads up, all salaries and rates are showcased in an hourly format. But to drive the right and accurate salary amount, we use market rate and market-based analysis to make sure that these women are, positioned in the right way and are going to get hired for what they want to get paid for.
Mm-hmm. So I understand you're saying that potential employers would contract with SheWorks and the rest of it sort of, would flow based on standard protocols and particular needs. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And if employers were interested in potentially, exploring this further, how might they, first educate themselves, and then how might they reach out to SheWorks to learn a little bit more about what the platform entails as it pertains to their own particular needs?
Sure. So we have a website, SheWorks.com, as I mentioned. I would suggest going there, signing up. I added a screenshot here. Gives you the option to sign on as a candidate or as an employer. And once you sign up as an employer, it asks you a required question. How did you hear about us? This is probably the fastest way for us to see you signing on our platform. We get a notification anytime that an employer or potential client signs up, so that one of our staff members can reach out and provide guidance. But if you all state that you're coming from the Rhode Island connection, that's how you heard about us, we'll know immediately to send you a worker request form that allows you to specify if you have any job openings, or if you have a project that's coming up that you really just want to engage with one of our experts in terms of finding out, okay, you need this type of talent and this is the right strategy. We can offer that support as well. But the best way to do that, Laurie, is through our website, and more importantly, just making sure that you state that you heard about us through the Rhode Island initiative.
Sure. So we will be posting this discussion on our website if any of our members is interested in going back and listening to it again. But for the sake of, for those that are listening instead of watching, it's wheresheworks.com/Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is spelled out. If employers are interested in learning a bit more about how they might tap into the amazing potential of so many women, not just in Rhode Island, I might add, throughout the world or throughout this country, that are looking for new opportunities and new ways to engage and deploy their own skill sets. But of course, we want our employers to hire Rhode Island women that are engaged in this program. So that is one facet of it. So Natalya, let's now pivot to use that word again. Let's talk to our audience members today that are those that are looking to maybe enroll as part of your workforce pool and trained in these new digital skills. So let's talk to that group of women right now. Do you have to be unemployed to enroll in the program or to be part of the program? And does it cost anything to become part of your employee pool?
So it does not cost a thing. We are making this free for the women of Rhode Island. You do not have to be unemployed, although we did give first dibs, if you will, to the unemployed groups. We've had people that have joined our program that are wanting to enhance skills and maybe consider a new job. So I would say, our focus was in helping the state bridge the unemployment gap, but that is not a requirement. The only requirement to join this program, which you can still join if you're open to asynchronous learning, meaning you access it on your own, the only requirement is that you're a resident of Rhode Island and that you're at least 18 years of age.
Okay, so no particular minimum education credential?
I would say the only requirement is that you're comfortable navigating the internet, that you're comfortable accessing a job or being considered for a job that will be predominantly digital and computer based. I would say that's the only skill that we really need the person to have, so they feel comfortable navigating through our programs. There's a certain level of tech savviness that our programs really require from our participants. But in terms of having a specific degree or bachelor's, right now we're looking really just to make sure that the ability to navigate, and also any relevant skill sets to digital marketing, any type of customer service or administrative would be wonderful, because we've seen that those can, again, to use the word, pivot into a digital career quite easily, and the transition isn't as, I would say, as impactful as perhaps somebody that's, coming from a very heavy on-site job that wants to stay in that, because that's where the roadblock could be. It's the willingness to go digital, the willingness to go remote, and the ability to really manage that lifestyle.
Sure. So I know you presented 2 tracks of skills in programming. But let's go back to that concept, just, very generally and simply, what are the skills that people are going to learn when you talk about, gaining those digital skills? What will the candidate be able to say, hey, I know how to do X, Y, and Z. What is X, Y, and Z?
Sure. So the biggest things, and I'm showcasing these tracks here so that we can categorize them. So through Cloud Working Academy, we're teaching people branding, online positioning, the soft skills needed to engage in a fully remote environment, the soft skills needed to engage in an interview, in a conversation, in a meeting, and in a very complex environment where there are issues where you need to connect with a partner or a manager, how to take feedback constructively. All of the soft skills involved that perhaps are delivered differently now because everything is going digital. Besides that, we do offer technical skills within these programs where we focus on different methodologies that are being used. For example, agile project management is the next hottest thing in terms of how people are being managed remotely. A lot of times people are parts of teams that are driven by agile methodologies. And so we educate them in how companies are really leveraging this, but more importantly, just some of the basics on that. And a lot of these people actually have the right profiles to consider a career as a project manager. So we really present skills and abilities that will help them segue into that. But I would say that the top 3 are the soft skills in terms of communication, delivery, that all have to do with how to do it digitally, understanding the tools, and also understanding the different methods that are being used. And then we also like to, through our live classes, we like to sprinkle in specifically personal branding, how people are positioning themselves on different platforms like LinkedIn, through SheWorks, just to make their visual and digital impact that much more memorable and effective. So that's another bonus that we have when people join our live classes, because there are instructors that make it interactive, that make sure that people share their ideas and hear how, that their ideas matter. And doing that digitally starts to create a sense of not just community, but also a sense of what their new remote job could be like. On the Facebook side, we focus on sharing all of the skill sets that will poise these candidates and professionals for a Facebook certified digital marketing associate certification. So the biggest things here are social selling, how to report on campaigns, how to set up a campaign properly, how to troubleshoot a campaign when it's not working. So really the ins and outs of social selling that really have impacted a lot of the ways of how businesses operate nowadays. And what we've seen here is that the people that take this track, they can continue on to certification, which we are sponsoring to a certain degree. We're offering scholarships to help them get certified. We're offering the guidance to help them get certified. But we also see that people either decide to go off on their own because they've learned that these skills can really help them position their own product or service, whether it's a photography or a digital video editing studio that they wanted to do. So this helps them position it in a way that is extremely beneficial for them to just become their own entrepreneur. But then they also, if they want to work for a specific employer, it gives them the ability to really understand how to help support any type of social selling initiative or any type of digital campaign that is released through Facebook by that employer. Now, we can offer, any type of technology training, whether it's Google or Facebook, but in this particular track, we chose digital marketing because it's one of the most relevant ones for this group, and also the most general one that Facebook offers. Facebook offers a slew of blueprint certifications, but this was the one that we felt would give people the fastest way to get back into the workforce and become more employable.
So this Facebook certification that you're referencing, generally speaking, there's a fee for that you will be covering as part of this overall training. So you're talking about some free services, no cost to enroll in the program, but then there are some add-ons that may in fact have a fee, but you're going to be covering at least some of them, or there are scholarship opportunities for some of these entry-level programs.
Correct. We do not charge candidates or professionals to engage in this program. We also, like you mentioned, there is an add-on to the Facebook program and track in that we offer additional guidance the support of Facebook, which is rare to find, but through our partnership, we were able to pass that on to these professional women. And that essentially entails guidance into how to set yourself up properly for the certification exam, and also any type of sponsorship or support in taking the actual exam, which I believe this one is $150 to take. So we have secured a number of scholarships, if you will, to help the women that truly want to pursue this have a clear pathway to that. So while we don't guarantee the certification, we do offer support in getting there as close as possible, because we truly believe in the employability that this gives the professionals that are part of the program.
That's really amazing and so valuable. Tell us a little bit about the success rate that you've had in placing people in jobs.
So in our other initiatives, I mentioned the initiative of Guatemala. Guatemala was speaking of digital, was a program that was launched in Guatemala 2 years ago, where we focused on training women within digital marketing technologies. In terms of the employability, we were able to find talent internally for ourselves that is still with us and has been a fantastic addition to the team. We have been able to showcase that talent from Guatemala within its own ecosystem, so within Guatemala itself. And then more importantly, we have placed this digital marketing talent within companies like Pasio, which uses artificial intelligence to document and tag different types of food, and they're in the very big player in the nutrition space. So very data-driven digital jobs were benefited because these women had these skills. So our success rate, I would say, it depends on the completion of the participants and the professionals. We have all of the funnels in place and all of the channels in place to connect them, but again, it really does depend on the completion rate, which I mentioned to you. Our NPS score is averaging 85%, which is extremely high for this market, which means that the candidates are extremely engaged. But at the end of the day, it really boils down to how effective they are in signing up to our platform, how responsive they are to our direction. So once that happens, I would say the success rate can be anywhere upwards of 80%. In the past, it's been, 85, 90% of candidates were placed in either project-based or full-time employment. So it varies by program, but we feel extremely hopeful about this particular group because it has such a different and diverse background. And the skill sets that I mentioned here that are being supported and stimulated by our tracks are actual skill sets that currently exist within this group of people. So making them an ideal reskilled professional for these types of jobs. So we just want to make sure that the relevance is there so that the accuracy of the placement is not just a one-off, but a long-lasting employment, hopefully.
Is your placement rate any different for US-based companies versus the talent pool that you were referencing, the training program? So US-based, US, even New England, if you will, applicants.
So no, I think it depends, because what we achieve with each program is essentially creating a pool of talent that is open to the world. Now, we really guide it by skill sets and we promote it by skill sets. So I think at this point, and to be honest with you, this is our first program in the United States. So I will report our findings back to you. But what we see here is that a lot of clients are really looking to identify new sources of talent worldwide. Obviously, a lot of those are coming from emergent markets, but if you position a group of people in a way that is certified, that is clearly linked to a specific job opening or job need, which is the part of the funnel that we have on the tail end of this in our employment phase, then you see a lot of companies really coming in and saying, hey, we need those specific skill sets. Now with Facebook, for example, we're part of their Facebook marketing partner program, where we address leads and field leads that are coming directly from Facebook to our company, because they just can't handle it. So there's definitely an overflow and a huge demand for people with this type of certification. And right now, that's one of the reasons we offered this, because this is a huge link to employment once these certifications are completed. Now, on this side, what I see is just being able to access talent remotely on demand for short, long-term projects is a huge breath of fresh air for a lot of clients in the United States that had to lay off their full-time employees. So while we don't have a number yet for this specific program, I do see a lot of potential, being that there's a huge demand for this skill set, not just in the US, but worldwide, as well as a huge demand for larger group of people that have these skill sets in a digital fashion. So we'll report our findings back to you, Laurie.
Fantastic. What about the benefit package? Does SheWorks take care of providing the applicant pool with wraparound benefits, or is that up to the employer?
That is out to the employer. However, we've had employer situations that have asked us, hey, I really want to hire this person long term, but I don't really want to manage anything just beyond paying, for every hour they work. Can you all handle a benefits package for us and include that in that hourly rate, or include that in the way that you're servicing this contractor? Because we do basically represent that professional in all fashions. So essentially, we just connect them with the employer. So in some cases, we have built in a benefits package to a program, but we typically do not. We typically allow employers to either offer if it's a full-time involvement, offer what they have already selected, or we inspire our different professionals that are around the world to ensure that they have a benefits package set in place. And sometimes we do basically, I would say we ask for a specific stipend or benefits package or some kind of extra funds a month for them to cover that. So I think the biggest thing here is that we see it case by case, but typically it's something that falls outside of what we offer candidates.
Yeah, so it kind of brings up a bunch of other things, like are they considered independent contractors? Are they considered employees? And are there any IRS certifications or attestations that need to take place before someone actually comes on board and works on a project?
So that's a great question. And they are considered independent contractors. And we also call them micro entrepreneurs, but independent contractors is the best way to refer to them. Now, because they're and I'm speaking globally now, because they are basically represented around the world, we do require that they are set up with their proper 1099s, and they're obviously paying taxes in the country that they come from. Now, what our platform does is it connects the employer or prospect client with this professional, but it is implied that that professional is set up properly and based on the paperwork that they fill out prior to joining our platform.
Mm-hmm. I think employers would have, that as a question, a top of mind question.
Sure, and we're happy to explore that with them further on how that connection is made. But technically, we do represent them as independent contractors.
Yeah, a lot of employers are worried about misclassification these days and making sure that the 10-point rules of the IRS are followed. So it brings up a lot of questions and boxes that have to be checked for going forward. Let me ask you one other question in the couple of minutes that we have left. How long does it take for a potential employee who enrolls in your program? How long does it take to finish up? Is it 3 months, 6 months? What's the length of time between sign up and somebody getting their first job?
So it depends on the skill set that they're signing up with, how relevant it is, and how effectively they've created their profile. But let's just say they sign up with all the keywords, they sign up, in record time, and they provide all of the requirements that we have, which are resume, location, etc., and as well as references. So it can take anywhere from 0 to 3 months. It really, again, depends on what the opportunities that we have available and how they align to those skill sets. I'll give you an example, though. We've had a huge surge of digital marketing experts that specifically from LATAM as well as the United States that have signed up on our platform. And once we get that notification and that visibility to that profile, we immediately, based on that skill set, because it's so adherent to the highly demanded skills that we're receiving from our clients, we immediately make that connection. So I would say if the skill set falls within digital marketing, content, design, technology, or virtual administration, then it would potentially take within a week. Again, we can't guarantee that because there are a lot of moving parts to that. But in terms of that connection, it can happen very, very quickly. But in some cases, I mean, the other side of the equation is that some people do sign up and perhaps they don't receive an offer, or they're not selected for a project, and in that case, it's more of a question of, were they set up effectively, or is their profile too general? Because we've seen that happen a lot, where profiles are very general and it's hard to tell what they do. And remember, our platform is open for clients from around the world to come in and search. So the more accurate the descriptions are and keywords are, the better. But we've seen specifically with digital marketing professionals, there is a huge uptick in that. And I've seen people get hired within a week, maybe less. But again, it all depends. But it's very, very quick as long as it's aligned.
Fantastic. So you have provided us with so much information to think about, both from an employer perspective and a candidate perspective. And again, we want to encourage anyone that's interested, that wants to learn more, to go to wheresheworks.com/Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is spelled out, and learn a whole lot more about the program and how employers can get engaged, find new talent, and then also on the flip side, how women that are either presently unemployed or want to reinvent themselves can in fact do so in this post-COVID environment and find a new set of skills, a new set of opportunities, and a new set of challenges. So Natalya Spicker, thank you so much for dialing in so early as well. I know you're in Portland, Oregon, and still very there.
The pleasure is mine. And thank you all for being a great audience, for the great questions, Laurie, and again for your patience this morning as I pivoted back to getting online and sharing this information. Thank you all.
Thank you.